Hey there, Bernie Miklasz with you. Yeah, that's me. I got my Aussie hat on today. Wizard. Always got to keep honoring the Wizard. No doubt about it. It's good to see him on NBC Sunday night for sitting with Bob Costas on the set of NBC Sunday Night Baseball. Anyway, let me get to my notes here. This is the Bernie Show on Wednesday, June the 3rd. Here's my question of the day. I'm kind of fired up. Could Cardinals manager Oli Marmol please alter his offensive playbook, if you will, and stop trying to bunt so much with Victor Scott II? Please, please. Hello again. I'm Bernie Miklasz, and I felt good to get that out. I've been covering St. Louis area sports since 1985. Yeah, I'm old and I'm proud and working harder than ever. And welcome to STL Sports Central, the place where you'll find the 10 columns that I write each week and the 5 videos that I do each week. And you'll get to see, if you want, the weekly visit with Randy Carricker on his show. Proud to work with Randy again. You can also hear me frequently throughout the week on all kinds of shows at KMOX FM and AM. So I'm going to keep going until the manager takes me out of the game, or I decide to, well, it's time to retire. I would hate to disappoint you by not retiring, at some point. So anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm wound up today. I'm trying to have a good time. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk about the thing that's kind of got me a little just not in a good mood. That's why I'm trying to have some fun to overcome the bad mood. So let's get into this bunting plague that's messing with the offense and messing with my mind. I like to quote old songs, pop songs, rock and roll songs, punk songs, whatever. So let me quote Marvin Gaye here when I talk about this subject, and just say it makes me want to holler. Okay, I ain't going to try to sing like the late great Marvin Gaye, but I love that song. And watching Victor Scott trying to bunt all the time, orders from the dugout, it does make me want to holler. Period. Look, I'm not a sack bunt guy. You probably, those of you who've been following me a long time, you know how I feel about this. Um, I'm not a sack bunt guy. I come from the Earl Weaver school on that. I grew up watching baseball as managed by Earl Weaver in Baltimore, and I learned a lot. He was my first teacher, basically. And I'm very fortunate to have teachers after that, teachers like Whitey Herzog and Tony La Russa, and, you know, Joe Torre. I mean, on and on and on. My thought Mike Schilt was a hell of a manager. So I've been fortunate. I have. But I learned a lot about Earl, and I learned a lot from him. And he was such a crab. And the one thing he really hated was to waste outs with sacrifice bunts, especially when his Orioles already had a runner in scoring position. I asked him about this one time, and I said, "Well, why'd you get so pissed off about these sacrifice bunts?" And by the way, Earl probably bunted a little more than he let on, but it's all right. So I would try to get Earl riled up a little bit. I knew what buttons to push. Not that we were like close friends or anything. We had the chance to visit with him here and there, including at the Hall of Fame a couple times. But anyway, so I said, "Well, why'd you get so worked up about bunts? Why do you hate bunts so much?" And he would just squawk. He would say, I can't do his voice, the native St. Louisan's voice, but he would just say, "We already got a damn runner on second base, so let's just drive him in, okay? That's what you're paying guys for. That's why they're in the major leagues, and they're getting a major league paycheck. And they get to stay in nice hotels, and they get a per diem. And automobile dealers give them free cars. We're paying them to drive in a damn run from second base, okay? So why would I want to give up an out? Why would I want to give up an out?" So he would say this over and over and over again. It's obviously stamped in my mind. He'd say, "You get only 27 outs in a 9-inning game. You do realize that, right? If it don't go extra innings, you only got 27 outs to work with, right? You get that? Outs are precious commodities. Don't be stupid. Don't waste them. Why would you waste them? You got a runner on second or third. Why would you waste them? All right. Yeah, Earl. Yeah, I'm with you. Um, the Cardinals have a Victor Scott problem, but it's actually more of an Oli Marmol problem because Victor Scott can't help who he is. He's a good person, but we talking baseball performance here, okay? We're not handing out any citizenship or medals and no kind of prizes for being a really good guy because he is a really good guy. We talking baseball performance, and the Cardinals are kind of stuck with him for a little while in center field, but it still bothers me that they know he's so bad that all the manager can do, or the manager just turns to like telling him to bunt all the time. I mean, come on. Listen, Victor Scott, and I got a lot of stuff here today on this. And as always, I back it up with diligent research. Spent a lot of time this morning. That's why I'm a little late recording this today. But Victor Scott doesn't hit very well. He was poor offensively in 2025. He's much worse in 2026. He's also declined in defense, and he's declined in base stealing. And some of you won't believe that because you've been, in a way, kind of brainwashed by the tapioca soft St. Louis media that tell you, they got to keep Victor out there. His defense is great. You got to keep in line. He can steal bases. So just don't listen to that nonsense. Don't listen to it. It ain't true. All right. I don't know why I always got to be the bad guy by pointing this stuff out, but I wear that proudly. Somebody got to do it. The impact of Victor Scott's speed is greatly reduced because he ranks 216th in on-base percentage this season among 221 hitters that have 150 plate appearances or more. That's right. On-base percentage, his on-base skill, 216th out of 221 hitters. So he doesn't get on base enough to really matter. And when he gets on base, he's been terrible at trying to steal bases. Yep, got some facts on that. The power is negligible as well because Scott ranks near the bottom of baseball in the crucial areas of not only failing to get on base at a good rate, but also not really doing anything in terms of hitting for power. So if you put on base and slugging together, you come up with OPS. And as I sit here on this Wednesday morning, late this morning, there are remember I told you about 221 hitters? Only 3 of the 221 hitters are worse than Victor Scott this season in terms of OPS, and his 193 batting average is 204th on that list of 221. Problem is, Scott keeps playing. He keeps playing. He keeps bunting. He keeps playing. He keeps bunting. He keeps getting thrown out at second. He keeps playing, bunting, playing, not getting the balls he got to last year, on and on and on. He keeps playing. He runs very well, sure. But where does that get the Cardinals? Where's the speed translating into positive results to make a difference for the Cardinals? It got to the point where Oli Marmol told Victor Scott, over the offseason, you got to work on your bunting. You got to work on it, work on it, work on it, work on it. I don't even know if Victor Scott realized how much he'd be asked to bunt, right? Oli just said, well, I'm going to surprise baseball. We're going to use him as a bunting weapon. Okay. It's worth a try, right? I'm a fair man, and I'm trying to be fair here. So let me say this. Early on this season, the bunting strategy actually got some good results. If you like that sort of thing, and boy, do we know that St. Louis loves that kind of thing, right? Scott does lead the majors with 10 sacrifice bunts. Okay. He helped set up 3 runs very early in the season. First series of the season, Tampa Bay. He helped set up 3 runs in a win over Tampa Bay, actually over two wins. He helped set up 3 runs in those games with his bunting ability. And then the Cardinals, if you remember, after the first homestand, they went to Detroit. And Victor Scott's bunts, his sack bunts, helped the Cardinals small ball their way to 3 runs during that series. But here's the deal. So, what do any of us think that major league managers and all the analytics people do we think that they're really so impossibly stupid that they didn't notice what's going on? Well, let me tell you, and I'll use a voice. Some of you love the voices, some of you hate them. I got to amuse myself sometimes. You think that maybe there were some conversations, teams that were about to play the Cardinals on the schedule, and they had their meetings looking ahead a little bit and say, hey, fellas, I tell you what, boy, that manager in St. Louis, the Cardinals down there, they don't think this man can hit. They don't think he can hit at all. They just keep asking him to bunt and bunt and bunt and bunt and bunt. They got no faith he can even hit a sac fly or maybe get a line drive single every now and then. So, fellas, we ain't going to let him bunt and get on base. We ain't going to let him bunt and move people over. If they don't think he can hit, why the hell should we think he can hit? So we're going to play the bunt defense very aggressively. Yes, indeed. That's exactly right. And I'm disappointed because I didn't use the voice. Since May the 5th, and that's a long time ago now, we're going on a month, Victor Scott's only had 3 successful sac bunts since then. So even Oli kind of said, well, you know, the way they're setting up their defense are kind of taken away from us. And isn't it sad? No, isn't it sad you got to get like a guy on third base, you don't think Victor Scott's going to, get you a sac fly? Maybe a soft single, line drive single, little flare. No, we got to bunt. We got to bunt. And I just find that sad. But the benefit of Victor Scott's bunting has obviously and gradually diminished. However, Oli still kind of wants to go back to that jukebox, right? Going to press that button on the jukebox again. He maybe for old time's sake. So in this maddening 7-4 loss to the Rangers Tuesday, Marmol dialed up not 1 but 2 bunt plays for Scott, and both backfired spectacularly so in a way that prevented the Cardinals from scoring in the 2nd inning and then again in the 8th. And that was kind of a big deal because the game was close and the game was 4-4. It was, you get in the late innings, it's tied at 4. Every run's vital, and the bunt stuff blew up, and the Cardinals stayed at 4 runs basically. But earlier in the game, they didn't have 4 runs, but they had a chance to get a run or 2 on the board, and they didn't do it early on. 1 run at least. I'll explain. So Oli tried to have Scott squeeze in Mason Wynn from third base in the 2nd inning, but it was a very poor bunt that kept the Wynn pinned in place because the pitcher of the Rangers said, no, we sniffed this out. No, not going to work. Not going to work. Wynn, stay back. Get your tail back at third base while I throw Victor Scott out. Wasn't that easy, but they did throw him out. So in the 8th inning, already burned once. Here we go again. In the 8th inning with Jimmy Crooks at second base, leadoff double. Marmol had Scott try to bunt Crooks over to third base to place him 90 feet from scoring with only 1 out, but Scott screwed up again this time. He popped up the bunt attempt into foul ground where the Rangers said, "Thank you," and caught it. Now, I know what some of y'all going to say. You're going to say, well, Bertie, you can't expect Jimmy Crooks. He's a catcher. You can't expect him to score from second base with a single. Well, maybe not, but I actually think that him trying to do that, if somebody could actually hit a damn single with the runners in scoring position, can anybody even do that anymore? I would take my chances with that rather than Victor Scott trying to bunt him over, because that's the other thing. You're trying to bunt him over to third base. For all you people that are my good friends out there say, well, you can't ask him to score from second on a single. You can't trust that. Well, I can't trust him to go from second to third on a bunt. Okay? Either way, it's a risk, but it didn't work anyway. So it was an opportunity flushed down the toilet. Now, Oli Marmol, my eyes kind of went, whoa. He did not try to conceal his irritation after the game, and some of you saw it, some of you heard about it. I'm going to read it to you. This is what Oli said, quote, We had two opportunities where we just didn't execute the squeeze and the bunt. You have to be able to do those. Right on. I mean, who would disagree with that? But without using his name, he called out Victor Scott. And I can only imagine what that conversation in the manager's office was like. Part of me today kept waiting to get like a text message alert from the Cardinals talking about a roster move. And who knows, maybe that will come. Although there is the matter of who would play center field. Anyway, I agree with Oli's frustration, but then again, man, Oli's the one that called for the bunt. So, that a lot of that is on him because as I've told you about, Scott's bunting quality and the way defense is set up, it's not a real high percentage play anymore. But there's a much larger issue, okay? When a manager, any team, but we're talking Cardinals, when a manager does not trust a big league hitter to get a run in from third base with a sac fly or maybe just an ordinary nice little base hit, and he doesn't trust the big league hitter to slap a single to get the runner in from second base, and the manager keeps calling for this big league hitter to bunt, except this big league hitter can't even do that, then conclusion, the big league hitter should not be in the big leagues. The big league hitter should now be a minor league hitter. He should be in Memphis learning how to step into the batter's box and smack a line drive base hit 2, 3, 4 times a week. No one is asking Victor Scott to be the second coming of Tony Gwynn here, okay? But the expectations for what Victor Scott can do at this point are so far underground, it's absolutely bananas to have him on the big club, wasting roster space. And I know they're going to probably have to do that for a little while longer, and because they don't have the guts yet to call up Joshua Baez to play center, but they will in time. I got a lot more to say about this in a minute when I jump back in for my second segment. First, always love to tell the gentleman out there about BlueChew Gold, new product from BlueChew. And this is really going to help you, fellas. You got to try it. You got to check it out. The future of bigger and better erectile function is here. The new BlueChew Gold is raising the performance level of millions of men in 2026. Raising their performance in a way where, let me just say, put it to you this way. You don't have to bunt, okay? You can swing for the fences again. Most ED meds only focus on blood flow, but the new BlueChew Gold formula goes deeper by combining 2 ingredients for physical performance and 2 ingredients for mental sharpness is a good way to put it. That what it means is you're physically ready and your mood is ready and you're enhanced both ways to match the moment. It's a powerhouse tablet that dissolves under your tongue for a super fast onset. There's no more waiting. There's no more performance anxiety. Just the results you want exactly when you want them. The process is really simple. It's all online. So stop striking out. Stop bunting when it matters most and start hitting them home runs again. Right now, you buy 2 months of BlueChew Gold. You get your 3rd month free with the promo code Bernie. That's the promo code BERNIE at BlueChew.com. BlueChew, go for the gold. Go for that gold. All right, let me get deep into this now. Quit wasting time. Look, with all due respect, and I'm going to sound cranky, and I don't want to, but with all due respect, I don't want to hear people say, "Well, Bernie, we all know he's not very good offensively. You don't have to tell us that." But Cardinals need him for his defense. Well, they do with the current alignment that they have. But that ain't saying much. And pretty soon, I would imagine Nathan Church is going to be back from the IL and he'll take over in center field. By the way, all you good people and all my good media friends that keep writing and talk about, well, they can use Lars Nootbaar in center field. Nope, ain't going to happen unless it's an emergency. I have it on good authority that nope, ain't going to see Lars Nootbaar in center field unless it's case of one of those late inning things where they're running out of players or something. and they can put him over there for a couple innings. Nah. So take your lineups, your projected lineups that have Newt Bart in center, and rip them the hell up, and put him in the recycling bin, because he ain't going to be in center field. Anyway, but let's just not act like Victor Scott is irreplaceable out there, okay? For God's sake, when he starts in center field, let's go with this. When Victor Scott starts in center field this season, when he starts a game, he's averaging 2.3 putouts per game. In a 27-out format, in other words, a typical 9-inning game, that means he's credited on average with coming up with about 7 or 8% of the outs in a 9-inning game. And well, how many of those are spectacular catches? Well, we'll get to that too. Scott's fielding run value compared to last year is down. This is StatCast stuff. Fielding run value is down 20% from where it was last season, according to StatCast. Scott's percentage of making 2-star catches, if you want to wonder what does that mean, 2-star catches, they're considered moderately difficult catchers. Well, moderately difficult catches. Well, Victor Scott's percentage of making those catches this year is down just about 20% from where it was last year. Instead of being where you want to be with those kind of catches, you want to be about 76 to 80%. Hey, if you're higher, that's really good. And some guys are higher, but 76 to 80%, you're doing fine. Well, this year, Victor Scott's percentage of making catches on those 2-star plays, it's only 59%. And by the way, if you got a problem with that, take it up with StatCast, okay? He has on top of that, he's got one of the weakest arms in the major leagues among the outfielders, according to StatCast, and that's always been the case. So look, I don't see any reason to just make up crap and spread false praise that's just completely unwarranted. And same thing, I have no desire to engage in the cotton candy stuff and make it nice and sweet. Just to, you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings by presenting actual facts. No, and I'm going to play that game either. So I don't want to say any false praise and outdated praise of his base stealing ability, because there's been a huge drop in his success in terms of steal attempts in 2026. Last year, Victor Scott, 34 bags, 38 attempts. That's an 89% success rate. That is outstanding. But after being thrown out only 4 times all season trying to steal a base in 2025, 4 times all season, he's already been thrown out twice as many times as that in 2026, because he's attempted 19 steals and he's been thrown out 8 times, twice as many times as he had all of last season. His 11 for 19 success rate on steals is 58%, which is absolutely terrible. So let's knock it off with the stolen base stuff. But Bernie, he can steal. I'm sorry, is it 2025? I think my calendar says 2026. Let's review the offense one more time, shall we? Scott was well below average offensively in 2025, well below average. And he's in an absolute free fall offensively in 2026. His weighted runs created plus is 49%. Below league average offensively, and that's a decline of 33% from where he was last season. His on base percentage has declined 15% from last year. His slugging percentage is down 11.5%. His OPS has faded by 13.5% compared to last year. So if we talk about the composite, the slippage or the decline in terms of composite performance is pretty startling, and it's pretty extreme. There's basically been a structural breakdown in every phase of Victor Scott's game. This is a cold, hard fact. If we mix all this together, offense, defense, base running, He's got about a composite decline of 45% from his overall performance last season, which means he has lost a huge chunk of his total on-field value compared to last season. I'm sorry, man. I wish I had better stuff to tell you, but I'm just going to where all the load of information takes me. In 2025, Scott had 1.7 wins above replacement. Not bad for a guy who can't hit that much. But his base running was an asset, and his defense was truly an asset. This season, instead of going 1.7 WAR, being safely above the replacement level, he is on a pace to finish with minus 1.3 wins above replacement. And depending on the amount of playing time, if it's a lot of playing time, he could finish the season with an estimated WAR of somewhere between minus 1.8 and minus 2 wins above replacement. Listen, sincerely, I tell you this, I don't see how Victor Scott could be doing any worse. And I do not understand why the Cardinals are okay with this. Well, I don't think they're okay with this. I don't think Chaim Bloom's okay with this. I don't think Oli Marmol's okay with this. I think maybe for too long this season, they were okay with this, which I don't understand. And by now, though, I can pretty much assume that Bloom and Marmol would have any confidence in Victor Scott whatsoever by this point, no matter what they spoon feed to the media. The problem is, however, with Nathan Church on the IL with a shoulder strain. He went there on May the 21st. He's about to begin his minor league rehab assignment, according to Chip Carey on the broadcast last night. And barring a setback, Church should be back relatively soon. So unless Chaim Bloom and Oli Marmol have fried all the circuitry in their brains, I assume Church is going to be taking over in center. And he's got game. He's got game. I ain't saying that Nathan Church is Pete Crow Armstrong. I ain't saying he's the left-handed hitting version of Mike Trout, right? I ain't saying none of that. But is he clearly better than Victor Scott? Yeah, he is. And that ain't much of a compliment, but Church will probably only be keeping center field warm for Joshua Baez until the Cardinals get up the nerve to bring the big man up here. Huge athlete who can play center field, and he's got, as Baseball America described Baez, he is a launch angle monster. At some point, which, by the way, if you got a launch angle monster and you're getting mad power, you can live with a 30% strikeout rate. Yeah, you can do that. You can make that trade-off. Yeah, they want him to cut down on the swing and miss, and he's working on it. But at some point, Bloom's going to have to make the call to Memphis. What's that old Johnny Rivers song? Memphis information. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm going to get in touch with my Marie. Remember that song? No, I'm an old fool, but you probably know. Anyway, you're going to have to make that call to Memphis, Tennessee, and tell Joshua Baez that you would like to extend an invitation to come join the St. Louis Cardinals. Tuesday night for Memphis, Baez had 4 hits, including 2 doubles, and he knocked in 3 runs. Now, I was haunted by something, so I checked the box score carefully, and you're thinking, oh, you were checking for strikeouts. No, I wasn't checking for strikeouts. I saw that right there. We had 1. So I was haunted by something. I checked the box score carefully because I just wanted to make sure of something. And so I do have something to report to you. In that game Tuesday night, Joshua Baez did not attempt to bunt in the game. Wow. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for putting up with me being a little extra wound up. I got a little salsa, little hot spice going through my veins today or something. You all have a great day. Appreciate your support of the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Thank you.